I'm here. I'm here. Good evening. Welcome to the first of a series of presidential debates. I'm your host, BenBen. I will be your moderator as well this evening. We have a long night ahead of us and a lot of discussion to get to, so let's begin. Vice President Biden, this first question is for you. The world is falling apart. How might you have done things differently if you were president? That's the first question. Sorry, President Trump, that's brutal. Sorry. Welcome to the BenBen Show, everyone. I'm your host, BenBen. I hope you enjoyed that intro. What a night last night. My goodness. Trump came out trying to get Biden off script. His comportment was masculine, but the staccato of trying to go after Biden looked really bad. Many people might find it unpresidential. I really think Biden crushed this debate. Unequivocally. It's very unusual. People might recall when Obama first debated Mitt Romney, no one thought he did well at all. No one thought he would do well. But then the next one came around, and the next one, and he switched it up real quick and just destroyed Romney. I think it's a very difficult position to be in, given everything that's happened in this country in the last 8 months. Can't really do anything. As the intro suggests, you can't really do you're screwed. You're like, everything's your fault. You're the president. It's just, what do you do? It's like, it's so easy to say, well, if I was president, I would have, me and Hunter would have gotten down and done some lines and really got our heads thinking. We'd lock ourselves in the Oval Office and just go to town on an 8-ball and really solve these problems. I just don't. I do think that also was kind of like poor tasting in the first debate to go after Biden's son. I mean, it seems like there's not much topical to go after because Biden hasn't really done anything in his career, other than make mildly racist comments about this and that, insinuate that he'd be dead by now, 2020, and someone against busing, which doesn't necessarily imply racism. I mean, it's just like he's just very boring. It's probably the perfect candidate in that regard. Isn't it nice, you can be a complete fuck up, honorable discharge from the Army and whatever, Marine Corps, and I'm not trying to parse the difference as being irrelevant. I'm not sure which service he was in, and then your dad becomes vice president or is in politics, and then you do become wealthy, you do have connection. It's like there's no. That's kind of the way it is, I guess, in life. It's like, I have a Harvard MBA and I did this. And some people just don't, doesn't go anywhere even with that. And the other time, you just have great connections. It really is the connections. It's not IQ necessarily. I don't know. But the tax returns being released before the debate, the day before, they were they were not only released, but there was information and critique and analysis, $750 paid, which Trump insisted during the debate, 2017, 18, 19, he paid millions of dollars. These are not accurate. Probably a difference between the K-1s and the actual tax returns themselves. You have to look at the individual tax returns versus the K-1 of the company. People insinuated because he took out a $100 million loan in 2012, that he's not a billionaire because he took out a loan. People don't understand, interest is tax deductible. But again, so much you can attack on Trump. My suits, I have to get them all fit. I've lost so much weight. They're like, I'm swimming in this. This is like a suit from, what's his name, from The Office. I like donuts. It's so funny how too, you're start to lose weight and you don't realize how heavy you were. I've been really lean and mean and looking great naked now for about a year. Really model naked, at least from here down. And I don't know. It's just funny to see, like, I'm in something that's supposed to make me look good, and I just realized it looks ridiculous. And I had it made for me because I'm 6'6". So like, you know, like it's like this I don't know, this purple line. I was going to wear the purple tie that my lovely fiance purchased for me. And I used to love it, and then I realized, like, there's this little crease right here. It's because of the weight, because like all this is gone. It's just, it doesn't fit now. I get it fixed. It's very agonizing. I just, oh my gosh, I don't have to wear suits all the time, and I don't know. It's just very frustrating. Can I light up my cigarello? I'm justifying this because I'm still in mourning about my cat that was eaten by coyotes. Trump won on climate change. You notice that? Everyone would agree on that? That climate change, it was one of the strongest parts of the debate for Trump. Whether you agree he won, subjective, but like it was one of his stronger positions as to why he's not part of the Paris Climate Accord, as to why zero emission testing and such in California is not good for the economy, it's not reasonable, and it's easily suggested that the end result is going to be more for an electronic readout that doesn't necessarily help the carbon footprint in our society in terms of like what the emissions CO2 levels will be from cars. He says all for electric vehicles. And he even admitted that people do contribute to the increase of greenhouse emissions, carbon gases and such. Cow flatulence was brought up. I love that. It's so, it's still classic. But Biden's plan is not the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal will cost $100 trillion. It's more than like 30 years of our GDP or something. And Biden insists his plan is not the Green New Deal, it's something else. But it's very similar in a lot of the aspects. He doesn't really explain how his is infinitely cheaper. He says, oh, it's only going to cost like $2 trillion, $10 trillion, some number way less than 100 trillion. It might have been even in the billions, but it's just such a grave disparity. And like some of the people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are really big. All the radical leftists are so pro the Green New Deal. May not look good after this debate if they critique him or not. If they care about their party winning, it's going to be interesting to see what they say today. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, the day after. So we'll see. You have the political pundits coming on tonight. Tucker, everyone, Rachel, Matt, all Anderson Cooper, they're all coming. And I can say, as a libertarian, wholeheartedly, Trump lost. He got crushed. But there's these funny things about journalistic integrity. Like the tax returns being released right before. It's play. They were sitting on them because it would be topical. Why? Because, news organizations are businesses too. There's no such thing as objectivity in the news anymore. It's all editorialized from the right to the left. They have to survive because of people like me that bifurcate the normal 4 major network news conglomerate, or monopoly. People like Joe Rogan, who would never have been considered as a moderator in the past, and then people like, I'd rather have him than Wallace, although Wallace was particularly the question again, just based off of like the events of being in the position of president during this crisis, it's so hard to say, like, it's so tough to be Trump and try to combat someone who literally has no responsibility to those horrible, horrible atrocities, from the million people that have died from COVID, to how the disease was initially handled, to policy, to the economy, to the shutting down of the economy. Biden unfairly appropriated the economic strife and unemployment rates currently with Trump's general career arc as president as it relates to the economy itself and the markets, as if this is normal. It's rather unfair. I didn't care for that. Right? Very, very, very prepared. That mofo is prepared. It seems like since he's not going anywhere, no one goes to his rallies. He hasn't had very many. He just was, doing debate prep and taking meth, and I believe he has he's the first human to have Neuralink actually implanted, because he was definitely on tonight. And his comportment, very grandfather-esque, very, very presidential. And I also like the way he defended his son Hunter. I like that a lot. Trump came off more as a bully. It's probably easier to come off as a bully when you're attacking like an octogenarian on like their integrity. Because people like immediately go to like, well, he's about to die, just leave him alone. Yeah, but he's gonna take my fucking job. It's like, well, so he deserves it. He's about to die. And that's kind of what the Democrats are saying. It's like, Biden's about to die. Let him become president. Why not? And Trump knows this is difficult. The mail-in ballot fraud actually is a real concern. It's founded in this bizarre little circumstance of empiricism, which is small, the data sets for the actual proven frauds and the potential for fraud. That you wouldn't either know that there's a potential for a general election massive fraud in this current situation given COVID until after the fact. And can you prove it? Will you have the actual personnel to sort through 80 million ballots potentially that are fraudulent? You don't. That's what's so scary about it. I think that's why Trump keeps like just lambasting the media and screaming that this could be the biggest fraud ever. It doesn't serve him any purpose. It doesn't stop it from happening. You knowing that it could be fraudulent, the election in the mail-in format, doesn't change anything. But I guess he's just letting you know that should it come to pass that this election is close, there's not 270 delegates through the Electoral College received by either candidate, and the fact that those mail-in ballots won't be counted on the 5th, that's the other thing. They will still be in circulation up to the 10th. Just saying, like 10th or 11th. They'll be counting ballots probably into December, if it's close. It's gonna be like Christmas. And then and this is the kicker, this is the game theory. Because this is not a cigarette, it's a cigar. Okay, it's clear, I don't smoke cigarettes. They're bad for you. Hypocrite. This is the game theory, all right? You have the judge seat open through, what's her acronym? RBG. May she rest in peace. Her last words, I hope live in infamy. Round up all the little people, demand to know where the gold is, and if they don't, give up the information, put them in concentration camps. I was kidding. That was from my last episode. I was making fun of the Democrats, saying that her last words on this planet were directly topical to this election. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Even if they're true, you wouldn't like mention that. It'd be like a private family thing. And they call the family call, hey Chuck, guess what she said? Guess what she said? She said that the next judge should not be elected until the new president's been elected. And the next judge shouldn't be appointed until the new president's been elected. I just want to let you know, I'm shocked too. I thought she was going to talk about her grandchildren. No, it's perfect for you guys. You're welcome. All right, bye. Come on. Maybe Chuck was goading her on, like at the, like on the death, but like, hey, soundbite, hey, say something. Who should be the next? How should the next judge be appointed? Huh? After? Okay. Thank you. Got it. We got it. Oh, she's gone. She's a DNR, right? All right, let's do lunch. Sandwiches? Mexican. Okay. So, I don't know how to smoke this. What was I saying? Yeah, so if the ballot counts extend through the year, right, and Trump, as the lame duck president, is in this odd position where the actual lame duck status is uncertain, it's hard to do the sessions in Congress and the Senate, to push through RGB. It's it would the Senate would be dealing with the recount, and then it's just it would be an awkward position to be placed in. You'd have to like kind of separate the powers, and it really wouldn't be that way. It'd be like, what's most important right now? The vote. Okay, that's next important. Filling the judge seat. Okay, 1, 2. That's the way it would be, right? That's the way that goes. I don't foresee anything happening with Amy Barrett at this point. It seems like she'll be confirmed, and that's that. But this is the way it is. And we've had fraud in the mail-in voting thing. At a lower level, the Office of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced 134 felony charges were filed recently against Gregg County Commissioner Shannon Brown and 3 co-defendants in connection to an alleged voting harvest scheme in the Democratic primary of 2018. Now, mind you, that's happening now. And the actual incident of fraud occurred in 2018. Just imagine how frustrating that is. You won't know until after the fact, if you ever know. And this is just in Texas. This is not nationwide voting. According to Paxton's office, Brown and others targeted young, able-bodied voters to cast ballots by mail by fraudulently claiming the voters were disabled. That's right. Disabled. That's disgusting. In most cases, without the voters' knowledge or consent, the indictments claim this was done to increase the pool of ballots needed to swing the race in Brown's favor, a Democrat. It would be funny if a donut was resting. Oh, that's my next bit. But yeah, that was in Pennsylvania. There were 7 ballots for Trump, military ballots that were found in the trash. Now, again, this is the Martha Nussbaum problem. Martha Nussbaum says that when you say that 4 children died in a house, it's awful. It sounds worse. 4 minors, 4 4-year-olds, 4 6-year-olds, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then we probably all be the same age. You ever that sounds worse to you than saying 1 million people died during, million people died in Czechoslovakia during the Holocaust. You know why it sounds worse? Because it's imperceptible to you. The number million, you can't even comprehend it. You have some, it's not visceral. The concept is abstract. Just as the fear of the potential for fraud is abstract. It's like, how could they orchestrate such a thing? And when he says unsolicited ballots, this is what Trump is saying. The news says that's not real. There's no such thing as an unsolicited ballot. You request a ballot, it's mailed to you. What if it didn't? What if someone got your information and requested the ballot for you and had it sent to your house? Or what if they sent you 2, which has happened? It's happened in New Jersey. People are getting double ballots. What if your vote counted twice in certain jurisdictions? There were swing states for Democrats where they send you vote at a booth and they send you another one in the mail and you vote twice and it's counted. These are real things. And there's nothing, you can't do anything about it. You can't even do it after the fact. This is going to be up to the next president or Trump to review this fraud, potentially. It's a serious problem. But the bottom line is Trump lost this debate. He attacked a grandfather. He should have been a bit more cordial, I think. He should have sat back and I think taken some of the criticism, which is counter to his bravado. Maybe been a bit more introspective and said something like, it hurts me that so many Americans have passed away and been affected by the COVID crisis. How many families have lost their jobs? How many people have been forced to go on unemployment? Evictions potentially being an issue. Landlords not being able to make money from their business. This is the cycle of events that have happened in this country under my watch. And it's very, very, very unfortunate. But when I look back on what I could have done differently, there isn't much. I had to shut down the economy. I had to protect people. Their health had to come first. And we didn't know everything about the virus that we know today. And I was doing everything in my power to listen and to refrain from making a rash decision until the experts told me what was appropriate. I don't have any regrets, but what I do know is that if Biden were to become president, he would shut down the economy again now after I've reopened it, for no particularly good reason. And that would crush the economy into 2021. It would cost people jobs, lives. It would push our country further into a socialist program, given the amount of money owed to landlords, to real estate investment trusts, and the credit markets would be destroyed. Millions of middle-class Americans would be riddled with debt that's almost insurmountable. We're talking about over a year of unpaid bills. I don't want to do that to this country. I don't want to do that. The vaccine's coming. Young people are not affected. It's time we start getting back to normalcy. COVID will be, destroyed. We will win. Blah, blah, something like that. And then I take the criticisms a little bit. But by take, I mean just sit back and listen to what Biden's saying. I would have done this and that. I'm like, well, Joe, if you started doing, you said you would have warned the American people earlier, but you also said that you didn't want to ban people from China. You didn't want to ban people from Europe. You didn't want to close the border. So what do you think would be more effectual? Me telling the American people, hey, you better be careful of this disease. We don't know much about it yet, but it's potentially dangerous to your health, mortally speaking. Or actually taking action and blocking people closer to the virus's origins from coming into this country and infecting more people. Something like just be calm, and I think he'll go back to that. I think this is a good litmus test. These debates sometimes have weird swings in terms of positioning. You kind of get a feel for your opponent, you maintain the status quo, and then you kind of readjust. And I think Trump will readjust. Again, I go back to that Biden wearing this kind of grandpa presidential posture on the stage was very good, and his defending his son looked very good. What didn't look good, and this sounds somewhat biased, is his wife going on stage at the end, just compared to Melania, where she's wearing a mask, made him look very old. That's one of the things. He looks old. Richard Nixon lost to JFK because he had a beard on television. He had no concept of the medium of television, what you look like. There's something there but just about the way Biden is, caked up in makeup, had this kind of what's his name, George Hamilton tan thing going on, but more subtle, just pulled back face, just very plastic surgery, very very he looks older maybe than he is in some ways, definitely in person. This is to Trump's benefit, and I know it sounds ineffectual and not substantiated by anything relevant, it's not substantive, but it's relevant to people in this country that are superficial, that have confirmation biases. It's relevant. And it's relevant to a bunch of young people that keep saying how awful Trump is, but for whatever reason just don't go to the voting booth. I mean, what's the difference this time around? I hate Trump, he's racist and fascist. Well, why didn't you vote in 2016? Because I have PlayStation 4? I don't want that to happen again. Biden was looking directly at the audience. Hey, I'm the guy. Vote. If you want 4 more years of him, okay, don't vote. But if you want real change, blinders, focus. Put down your Sega Game Gear and focus here. Vote for this. Vote for the guy. Come on. I don't know, man. I don't know. let's move on. Because, you know, this isn't really a political show. Quite frankly, being political and not being super liberal, like, oh my God, you know, everything's racist, or everything, you know, there's transgender people should be able to steal your baby because of the oppression. You know, they should be able to like take your baby without, you know, if you have a baby, you have a 50% chance of flip of the coin of keeping it or given to a transgender couple. You know, I'm not that person. And it's not good when you do media, entertainment, because the gatekeepers are basically all that. So I'm fucked. So let's just move on so I don't get depressed. I thought it would be funny if a donut was resting on a suicide note and a police officer on the scene of the homicide, or I guess the suicide, yeah, I guess the homicide squad deals with it, they do, took the donut, ate it, and wiped his mouth with the suicide note. It had really good instructions for the family. And the dead person, the person who passed away, just is in the corner, like floating or whatever. And it's like, oh, come on, are you serious? Oh, and then it's like, and like the aunt comes, I know that he wanted to be buried next to me, so we'll make his plot. Like, it says I wanted to be cremated, Grandma. God. Oh. Or aunt, whatever. Oh. It's like, I would bring my ashes to like the Caspian Sea and just let them go. With my samurai sword. That's what I wanted on a cliff. I think he wanted to be buried with those penny loafers that we got him when he was set. Oh. I don't know. I think if Johnny Depp like had cancer and he was going chemotherapy weekly, and like one morning he wakes up, and he has chemo. It's important, right? You can't like miss these sessions. But he couldn't find all his accessories. Do you think he'd skip it? Just like, my rings. Amber, have you seen? I've never done Johnny Depp. Have you seen my black scarf with the skull and my ring with the crossbow? No, I haven't seen it. Sorry, Johnny. Sorry. I think we should go hire a team and look for them. But you have chemo. Not relevant. I need my rings and my scarf. I'll work on that. But I do think it's funny, and I do think he would be like that. I also think it's funny, like, if he needed a replacement, he could go to, like, any, like, kid's store and just, like, find some fake metal rings or something that are, like, from the pirate section that have, like, puzzles and, like, a Lego set. And just like, oh, that's perfect. I'll just, okay. Let's go to chemo now. Just, like, stupid shit like that. I don't know. Like, you can't have accessories when you're his age. Like, he's so old. It's, like, 58, and it's, like, you know, guys wearing jewelry in general. It's fucking weird. He's just like, I don't know, man. Just weird. I don't know. He also was like attacked by like a psycho borderline personality girl, Amber Heard. Like she like set him up, recorded like how are you in court just saying like, and so we were here and see I have video evidence, and then we were here and I have video evidence like. So let me get this straight. You dated this guy and just like recorded all this shit? Like this high profile person that you're dating, and you just like constantly like record things without his knowledge? Well, I just wanted to show people. What? Is he doing anything wrong there? Well, those are his. So weird. I'm not supposed to do not disturb on, someone called me. Yeah, but she's like, those are his drugs. That's his cocaine. That's his gun. Did he use it on you? No, but there it is. Psycho, man. I think it's cool that Paul Bettany, that Brit, he and Johnny just do like lots of drugs together. I think it's awesome. Oh, cocaine. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could use some right now. Does anyone have Hunter's number? That's also a good story. It's nothing that I'm gonna go back to the debate. Like Hunter Biden getting over cocaine, that's a positive thing, you know? It's a good thing. This coffee's making me hot with this suit. Let's cool it down. Cool it down with the C4 energy drink. C4. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's spot. It's a positive. It's a net positive. Drug use, overcoming it. I don't think cocaine's necessarily a problem. It's like a very adult drug. It's a way to get things done. People are like, so what do you do? Like, oh, I'm on Adderall. Oh, okay. Prescription? Yeah, I just have ADD. It's like, I don't think it's that much different, to be honest with you. I have friends that are like, where do you go to Cornell? Harvard MBA? No. What do you, so, where do you get the energy? Adderall. Oh. Same thing happened in the 90s, 80s, this is cocaine. No difference, there's no doctor's note. Obviously, the chemical makeup's different, they do act differently. But it's not that much different. I don't know. Trump definitely takes stuff like that. Sudafed with the what is it? The ephedrine or something. Probably takes Adderall too. There was an old prescription somewhere posted online from like 1988 with like Dexedrine or something. It's like a primary analog of amphetamine salts. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think though there is a problem with Neuralink and these there's like the actual technical implantation of like tech to make you smarter. It's not just chemical based. Limitless drug too also would, if it was real, would be a problem. You create these superhumans, and so everyone's enhanced. Like everyone's on steroids, right? Do I have like chalk on my face? Is this lighting? So the question is, what's real? Like what's fair? So you're gonna have presidents in the future that both will have to have Neuralink. Or if one of them has Neuralink, the other one will have to get it implanted so it's fair. Or they wouldn't even gotten there in the first place. The guy with the Neuralink is gonna just rule the shit, you know? What if the first person to implant with Neuralink will have to have a pair? Because if one person gets all that power, he might destroy everything to make sure he's the only one with Neuralink. Because just, from a biological perspective, if a person that's selfish and greedy, as we are, is inherently gifted with this superhuman power, why would you want that debased by being part of a conglomerate of Neuralink people or just a new population of Neuralink people? I was reading about Ted Kaczynski's attacks on technology. Not just like how dependent we'll be and how technology will eventually like determine itself whether it wants to keep us around unless we have this sort of singularity where we merge with it. That eventually the optionality of technology will become almost like necessary, like things in our life that we can't live without. Cell phones, Twitter, I don't know, Twitter, but definitely a strange company in itself. But this connection, it's funny how like having a cabin in the woods or like a place, we keep a place in Vail. Like it's like this for rich people. It's like, oh, we have a cabin in Vermont. It's like, what do you do there? You just like read and walk around and have fires at night. Weird. Do you have like a TV? It's just like, do you have internet access? It's like so strange. It's so strange what we don't. People, I think, are losing what makes them actually happy. If you get older, you realize in relationships, what makes you happy is in fact the small things. Walks, holding her hand, a look she gives you at a coffee shop. There are things I think about knowing like a beautiful woman has looked at me and made a face that makes me feel so good about myself that I could make her look at me like that. I wouldn't believe I could do that when I was younger. When I was 6'6" in high school and 160 pounds. It's kind of like Christian Bale in that movie where he hasn't slept in a year. It's a beautiful thing to know you can have this angelic creature that you're just completely envelops every thought in your head, that she just can just look at you in this way, and she seems completely and absolutely content and infatuated and in love with you. It makes you, as a man, it makes you feel better than anything. And this happens at strange instances that don't involve material. It involves kind of like this sort of like strange connection that's kind of, you don't know when it happens, it just happens. It's beautiful. You can see someone across a room and know that they're like, you have a connection with them without even talking. It's bizarre. And sometimes you ever notice like in relationships where you don't find out till later, maybe even 6 months down the road or a year, that there's all these things that you have in common that you had no idea about. That's kind of the way things are in general with nature and the physical world that we're kind of losing touch with our phones and everything else. Even these debates, our perception of like what's real through the media and through news, everything's filtered with a ulterior motive, like filter, prism, to kind of like filter things towards a bias that will perpetuate an end result for not the user so much as the manufacturer of that content to gain an advantage or something net positive for their ends, which isn't necessarily good for society. So yeah, the world's going to shit very quickly. And this debate was ridiculous. And I fear for the gatekeepers that control people that think differently. Someone like me, someone like Gavin McInnes, anyone, Krista Elia being ostracized as a white male because of some allegations involving some 22-year-old woman on Instagram that are not substantiated or proven, but his career's in jeopardy. The idea that like everything that celebrities do involving political activism is all in unison. It's almost choreographed. It's very fake, and it shows that it's part of a bigger goal. And at its face value, it looks like it's this altruism and goodness and benefaction, but it's not. It's more nefarious than that. It's almost like terraforming. It's like a thought experiment. It gets really dark when you start to think about that. I don't know. I don't like where things are going. I don't like where we're moving as a society. I don't like how many people will vote in this election with false information on both sides. Have no idea what's real, what's true. It's scary. That voting machines could be hacked. Very scary. I did mention that on a lighter note. What if Biden had Neuralink for the debate? And what if it was hacked? And basically, or worse, it was making it more simple. Let's say he had a teleprompter. Somehow he had like a contact that was digital. So the teleprompter started to read Wiz Khalifa lyrics from his newest hit. I don't think Biden would stop himself. I think he would just push those OG rhymes and just with a big smile on his face, and he wouldn't know the difference. I really do. Maybe at the end he'd be like, wait, is that right? Is that what we have? Oh, sorry, no earpiece. But like everything, like imagine like all the cars that could just be hacked. Everything's to be connected in this weird, cerebral, digital. It's so involved. It's like a farce of a community that doesn't. The individual nature of things is losing its. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. I don't know. It's like if you don't. It's almost depressing if you think about it, because if you're not thinking like everyone else, you're not really part of the community, or you're really easily open for criticism, or if people don't like your ideas and they're afraid of your ideas, they will openly. I feel I do have something there. Maybe. I don't know. It's weird shadow. You'll be open to criticism. You'll get really depressed, and maybe you'll like jump off a building because they'll destroy your life. You won't have any sense of community. You just feel like you're not part of that world. You just don't fit in. You don't want to you're not afraid of what people think and say, and you have no problem with anything. You don't get offended at all, and you like to think your own way, and you like to say those things out loud. If you're that person, it's not a good world to be living in right now. Not at all. The only way that works is if you're in the elite, where they kind of control this game. Very wealthy white people push Black Lives Matter and push these progressive groups and push the white people are awful campaign. And you have to ask yourself, I mentioned this before, why would anyone want to do that? Well, forget that question. At face value, it certainly isn't self-destructive. It doesn't make any sense. So at least you know that it's not what it's intended to be. That really rich white people want very small minorities to take their spot. It's not the way the mountain works. It's not the way anything works, but it is seemingly a way to maintain control and to cull a generation of people that might think differently, that might stand up to rise against you. And I think anyone worth a grain of salt in terms of integrity and honesty, in terms of like what they think, their political views and such, if they can truly separate themselves from earmarks and special interest groups, they can kind of acknowledge this reality that these things aren't real, that there are people involved that are manipulating voters using some of the most delicate parts of their human frailty, from their sense of value, their income, the where they are in life and how unhappy they are. They're trying to empower them by telling them that it's nothing to do with their choices or how that they need to change things and work harder, that it's because of life's unfair based on skin color, and that I'm here to give you the answer. Or of sex or whatever. It's scary because you're basically conceding your own thought loop and thought feedback to like work on yourself and saying, no, I don't need nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. It's society and racism and sexism. That's why. It's just that. Yeah, it's scary. I worry about these things, and I just can't. I can't sit idly by. I'm always going to be the way I am and say things that are sometimes inappropriate, sometimes weird off the cuff. I don't think for entertainment purposes it's necessarily a good idea. If you want people to listen to your stuff, to talk about libertarian ideals or to critique leftist agenda, I think that for the majority of entertainment, the gatekeepers are those. And it's very difficult to bifurcate intent with face value. Like, in other words, Black Lives Matter it's a wonderful organization with no ulterior motives. They just care about Black lives and they want to stop systemic racism. What if it weren't true? what are you saying? Stop being stupid. Are you Republican? Like, it's just so, it's hard. It's really hard. But you could say that about anything. You could say that about conservative ideas. It's just that it's not the same modus operandi. It's not the same people they're trying to manipulate. Like white evangelicals versus underprivileged, the socioeconomically impoverished that don't know any better about this or that, or are uneducated. That's a very susceptible group. And that's where I think it's funny you're espousing these ideas that this is racist, that's sexist, to people with the purpose of manipulating their vote because they are those things. They're women, they're transgendered, they're gay, they're black. That's fucked up. That's racist. I don't know, man. And censoring people. Like Gavin McInnes is a very smart guy, whether you agree with everything he says. I think he's a little too far to everything he talks about is about politics and conservative theory and libertarian values, Proud Boys this. There's never any, self-criticism. He once told me to fuck off. Kind of an ass at times. But his entertainment value is so niche. Like, he should expand into other things. He's a funny guy. And I think that would help him, grow and move forward. But he shouldn't be kicked off of Twitter. He shouldn't be people's feelings, which Biden talked about in the debate. Feelings is not a thing we should be talking about. We're not protecting people's feelings. Diversity training that Trump withdrew funding for at universities and such and things like that, and also at police stations. He was critiqued by that by Wallace, and Biden followed through, saying that people need to know what other people's feelings are about certain things. What does that mean? Because my feelings are, say if I was they're Cherokee Indians that think the Redskins name isn't racist. What is this universal feelings thing? It implies a reality that isn't fair, and also feelings are subjective. It's stupid. I think most people know that the N-word's off limits. I think that's fair. I think most people know that calling a homosexual person a fat is not a good idea. You don't need diversity training. Oh, really? I can't say that? I used to say that about the Jews all the time. I can't use that word? It kind of sounds like kickball. No? Okay. Why are you doing this? You're doing this to control thoughts and to empower a consortium of minority interest into one voting bloc, and to basically then concede, have people who think differently concede and say, I'll just vote this way because I'm now going to get free money for the rest of my life from the government. This COVID crisis has showed us. What if the future is $600 million minimum wage thing? Is this the reality of the future? We control our own money. We print it off. That's what we do. Why not? Keep the inflation, deflate the dollar. Okay. Why not? Why not? You're a conservative. You're a Texan with conservative values. You're getting free money from the government. Eventually that might compel you. It's to get doped up on that. I want to keep this ball rolling. Oh, you want me to vote a certain way? Fuck it. Can I keep my guns for a little while? Handguns at least? Oh, you want my AKs? All right, fine. My ARs? All right, fine. Can I keep my 9mm? Oh, thank you. Then maybe they raise the dole and say, hey, for an extra $100 a month, can we have your handguns? That's 4, 8, 12 years from now. And you just say, fuck it. I don't need them. Use my BB gun. And it just keeps going where civil liberties are bought. And your individual thoughts are purchased for a subsidy. Google was a DoD project. designed to determine what the populace is thinking ahead of time. Whoever controls the information controls the world, the flow of information, period. Whether that's a bandwidth issue from the way your brain interprets information that could be solved with Neuralink, to the media filtering information from the real world down to you, the guy coming off work that wants to sit in front of the TV at 7 p.m. and just have a cable news wash over him. It's more effectual in this limbic resonance system to have cable news sound like TMZ.com and over-dramatize, embellish, pure puffery, and lie to you. This is a country that Operation Mockingbird, we've had the CIA to control and propagate different ideas through the media. We have shot down a Iranian commercial airliner filled with innocent people for our own ends. We thought about doing that to justify the Bay of Pigs. Kill American people on purpose. So it was two ideas. One was shoot down a fake American airliner and say that it wasn't filled with anyone. The other was like, well, we used a real one. We shoot it down. It's harder to prove the manipulation of the second idea because it's real. This is the way we think. This is the way our intelligence services are. Like, we don't care about you. We care about the power of information because that's our job of intel, and it's designed to protect this country. Well, it also just becomes a way of consolidating power, and I don't think the intelligence services are necessarily on Trump's side. I think they have their own ends that may be self-defeating, which is the more technology they use to gain more information and control, to consolidate control, it might be hurting the constitutionality of the republic itself that it's trying to protect. These are scary things, and I'm interested to see where the debate goes from here. I'm really worried. I'm scared to death of the idea that Biden could become president and then we have to wear masks for the rest of the year and the economy is shut down again. Or that from a kind of a domino perspective, city mayors re-up the strict protocols, have stay-at-home orders to say we want to quell and really through the flu season to shut it down and make sure it goes away before we have the actual vaccine available to all people. That's April next year. Wow, scary as hell, and it worries me. Forget politics. That idea that is Biden's. Shut everything down again. That scares me. As a small business owner, scares me. I'm not trying to be selfish. No, it's just reality. How do I feed? Where's the money come from? I'm very lucky. I'm an incredibly lucky person. I've worked really hard in life, but I also am incredibly lucky. But what if I wasn't as lucky? And look at the savings and the monies I have to dig into because of some arbitrary measure like that. It scares the crap out of me. Why have them open now? It's not even a CDC mandate or a WHO thing to say we have to shut it down again, but that's what Biden wants to do. That scares the crap out of me. Also, if I want to get a loan or the credit markets are frozen because they don't know whether I'm going to have actual traffic or cash flows. That's scary. I don't know. All right. Follow me on Twitter at BenBen Show. And I have a Patreon I'm setting that up. Facebook, Facebook, the BenBen Show, I think it is. Yes, just look it up. And YouTube, BenBen, Instagram, the BenBen with a second E as a 3. It's in the description. But thank you very much, and I will see you next week. Ta-ta. Or next debate, maybe. However, I don't know, is it next week, I guess? I'm assuming it is. All right, take care. Bye.